My father died about a month ago. He's left a fairly varied career. He was principally an academic, a classic scholar, a person who was the top of his year in Ibadan in the mid-1950s. He came out of there and resumed or started a career as a lecturer, primarily in English. He was very interested in the arts, in literature, and that kind of scholarship. But curiously enough, when he reached Ibadan, he was primarily interested in mathematics and studying mathematics, but he was persuaded to switch from that to the humanities. He started lecturing in Ibadan, I believe in the early 1960s. He came here to England to do a doctorate in, I believe, 1960, and left to return to Nigeria in 1963. At the beginning of the crisis and the lead up to the Civil War, he returned home to his home region, as it were, to Biafra. My father was a very energetic, and if you crave my indulgence, brilliant man, and was involved in a range of assignments in Biafra. He was a speechwriter for Ojukwu. He helped write the Ahira Declaration. He was involved in intelligence analysis. I believe he was also involved in the University of Biafra at Nsukka at that time. At the end of the war, he began a process of exile, if you like, or traveling, which took him primarily to Central and Southern Africa. He was very interested in the progression of the decolonization movement in that part of Africa. And he had roles in universities primarily. University in Zambia, university in Swaziland. He was a visiting professor in the Congo. He worked in Malawi. He was external examiner in many universities across, the emerging universities across Southern Africa. He did one or two interesting things while in Zambia. He also, perhaps he was the first Nigerian to go to apartheid South Africa and meet writers there. He met the Nobel laureate Nadine Gordimer and many other writers. So he had a very unique perspective. He was persuaded to come back to Nigeria at the beginning of the 1980s, 1981. And he became a special advisor to the then civilian governor of Anambra State, Jim Nwobodo. After that, he had a career that sort of oscillated between academia, working in universities in the East, and working as a political advisor to various people. He also had a role in the organization Ohaneze Ndibo. What else can I say about my father? My father, was a person who was very convivial, very urbane, very energetic in public, but also had a very intensely private, cerebral, and skeptical side. The person you sort of met in public wasn't always the person you met in private, but perhaps that's the way with all of us. One of the things I remember him for was also he was the chair of events when the Commonwealth had a very big conference on what to do with Southern Africa, what to do with Zimbabwe in particular, which Margaret Thatcher went to visit in 1979 in Zambia. And he was the chair there, and he was party to some of the negotiations and discussions about the impending independence of Zimbabwe. Yvonne had invited my father to come here, but unfortunately he was already then gravely ill. But he was, his last day, he was very lucid, very clear. He was a passionate supporter of Biafra, but I also have to mention that my father was also a very passionate believer in Nigeria. Thank you.